I see that Jason is back with us. How you doing, sir?
Good. How's the sound?
That sounds good so far.
Great to see you. Great to see you, Michael. I
Good to
got. I
see you
can
too.
change the. I can change the mic position if it helps.
That's all right. I was just. You remember that day?
It's about 100 pounds ago, my friend.
4 years. Uh, that smile on your face uh, makes me smile. It was an honor to present that Harmonica Player of the Year award to you 4 years ago at SPAH.
It sits right on top of my humidor, right next to the most other awards I've gotten. It's one of the closest to my heart.
Oh,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah. Well deserved, sir. Well deserved.
And Winslow.
Yeah. Let's see. Is he here? He's not here right now, is he? No. Okay. All right. So we got about 4 minutes to go, and have you got original sound turned on, Jason?
I do.
Okay. Good. All right. So I don't know if Charlie. Is there anything else you want to add, Charlie?
No, I just had a lovely conversation with Rachel. Yeah, she's such a sweet gal.
Yeah,
And
she
she's
is.
never been to America, so I hope we can bring her over one day.
We've already chatted to Honer about trying to do that, with all the challenges of COVID and then international artists. But Honer can make that a little easier sometimes. So
Yep.
she certainly wowed a lot of people last night. It was, even though it was a recorded session, it was so clear and clean. I mean, they just did a fabulous job of producing that in a relatively short period of time. During COVID. So, and then obviously, her ability to sing in two languages, and most of us have a hard time doing it with one.
Hey, I can sing in two languages. Bon temps roulé, s'il vous plaît.
There you go. Yeah,
That's about the most French I know.
yeah. Well, I used to speak it fluently, but it's been 40 some years, and I've lost a lot of it over the years. So it's really exciting. I am really pleased to introduce our 2017 Harmonica Player of the Year Award winner, Jason Ricci, who's going to talk about arpeggiating major triads and other wonderful things. I will leave the rest to you, Jason.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. It's great to be here, and it's great to be here live. I chose to do this live just so we'd have a little bit more like a real convention, Also, I wanted it to be special, so we'll see. Hopefully, I'll get through it okay. The chat section is open. Anybody feel free to chime in at any time. I find any of the questions that come up, no matter what they are going to be helpful to everybody, including me, to keeping me on track and everything else. So, first of all, there's a lot of different ways to improvise, to make stuff up in the moment. Like we can memorize licks and slightly change them. We can memorize melodies to the song and slightly alter them. We can learn licks and string them together from other artists. We can learn scales that work over a variety of chord changes depending upon the scale. And the last thing I said is what I've done most of my presentations at SPAH on is scale work. So I wanted this year to do something a little bit different. So, I'd like to talk about that. I will get to the pentaharp question after we get rolling here. So what is arpeggiating? So it's when we look at any instrument, and we look at what is a chord, right? Because that's what we play over when we play with like a piano player or a guitar player. A chord is composed of at least 3 notes. And when we look at what those notes are, that gives us a great idea of what the most obvious choices are for improvisation, okay, or just learning the notes in the chord. So when we listen to a bass player play a bass line, a lot of times what they're doing is individually playing one note at a time, boom, 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 each note of the chord. So if we know what notes are in each chord, we have a great advantage in thinking about what we're going to play. And the fun thing about that is we're really making music in the moment. So I'm not thinking about a Junior Wells lick or a Larry Adler lick or a Charlie Parker lick or a Little Walter lick or even a Jason Ricci lick. I'm in that moment and I'm listening to how the notes react and relate to the chords that are being played behind me or the ones that I'm implying without any music at all. One of the things that I noticed when I first started playing was that I could go to the jam session, I could sit in with a band, nowadays, a backing track on YouTube or something, and I was able to play and it sounded pretty good because we're using essentially on a diatonic harmonica anyway, more or less an open-tuned instrument. So as long as I'm not like bending 3 all the way down, the 3 triple bend, as long as I'm not playing that note or overblowing, there's almost nothing I can do that's wrong. Okay, so I would go to the jam and I would sound okay, and there were lights and amplifiers and a band and everybody would clap and me, oh, that's a great job, Jason. And then I would invariably later that week or something be at some kind of a barbecue or family function and somebody would say, hey, Jason, Jason plays harmonica. You should have heard him Tuesday night at the jam play something. I didn't know what to play. Right? I was like, well, what songs do I know? The Saints Go Marching In or Amazing Grace. But that's not what I was doing at the jam session. I was just jamming. So learning about chords in 12-bar structure and stuff enables me to do what I'm doing with a band without the band. And then furthermore, when I'm with the band, it gives me a wonderful, wonderful canvas of knowledge that I can interact. I can choose to play the same notes as that are in the chord, or I can get mischievous and play notes that are not in the chord. If they're playing a 7th chord, I can play a 6th chord. If they're playing a 6th chord, I can play a 7th chord. I can arpeggiate a 7th chord. So let's just dig right in. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do is look at, well, what is a chord, right? Like so we're gonna be in 2nd position today. Okay, we're gonna start there. We're gonna learn, funny enough, how to arpeggiate 3 chords in 3 positions, and we're gonna learn it all in 2nd position today, just to start with. That's just the very beginning, okay? So if I just inhale on the harmonica, just like that, this is a C harmonica, I get a G major chord. So what is a G major chord? In harmonica language, it's 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw. And since 4 draw is the same note as 1 draw, I could also add that in there. It's an octave of that. When you hear that at the racetrack, and hopefully you have money, but what you're hearing is an arpeggiated chord. So when I'm arpeggiating a chord, I'm just playing one note at a time of of all three notes in that chord or more, right? So in this case, it's a G major triad. G major triad. Triad meaning three, G major meaning G, the third note of the major scale, which is 3 draw, and the fifth note of the major scale, which is 4 draw. So if I were to count up the major scale, 1, 2, there's my third note, 3, 4, there's my fifth note. That's how I come up with that 1, 3, 5. So there's the one chord, or the G major triad. So when I'm improvising, I can choose to use just those notes or more, but I know that those notes are the most important notes in the chord because they're the notes that make up the chord. One of the most common arpeggios we hear, especially down here in New Orleans, is the simple like rumba or clave rhythm, you know, that we hear in so much of the Fats Domino music. So that's a bass line, but it's also an arpeggio because it's just. So if I learn that, I can then learn what other chords are built off of that. So a seventh chord, for example, would be those three notes and then add a seven, but we'll get to that later. So that's the one chord. If I exhale on the C harmonica, I get what it was originally meant to do, which is play a C chord. So I can look at that as being in first position, or I can just look at it as a C chord. 1, 3, and 5. 1, 2, going up the major scale in first position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 blow. Or 2 draw, but if I want to, I can't draw and blow at the same time, so I'll use 3 blow. And then I have the octave up top. That was back to cross arp. So if I want to play the same Fats Domino bass line, rumba bass line, or clave bass line, second, or G, so there we go. So I can immediately start improvising with that. I don't have to play a bass line that's planned out. Whoever has their mic on, could they please mute themselves? Thank you. And then maybe later we can jam. All right. So what I can do is I can take these notes out of order at any time. So all I'm doing is arpeggiating, meaning I'm playing notes that are in the chord in all kinds of different order, either sequentially, backwards, or even randomly. When we listen to, in particular, jazz music, and we listen to the improvisers and we hear them going Ba da 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 ba da ba ba da ba ba dee ba da ba ba da boo ba da da ba da 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 dee da 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 da. All we're hearing is them playing the notes that are in the chord in different orders, sequentially and rhythmically, right? Some notes we hold longer. Instead of, I could go, or anything, right? Anything that I can think of that I can get away with. So I'm going to type into the chat box the 1 chord, and I think that there are some PDFs available here of this. And when I get through the 5 chord, let's put them up and we'll talk about them. 2 draw, and I think I have them too. I can put them up too if they're not readily available by the people co-helping me. All right. 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw. So that's the 1 chord, and I can also look at that as second position, right? Or in this case, a G major triad. So whatever harp I was in, it would be that. If I was on an E flat harmonica, it would be a B flat major triad there, right? So when I get to the 4 chord, and I'm just typing out what I just talked about, okay, when I get to the 4 chord, I'm looking at 1 blow, 2 blow, that's the major third of 4, and 3 blow. So don't worry about this stuff if you don't know what a major third is, or if you don't know what I mean by a major third of 4. Don't be intimidated. It's just once you start playing it, you'll hear it. You know. All right. So when we get to the 5 chord of a 12-bar blues, okay, which is bar 9 of a 12-bar, we don't have as easy of a time as we did in second position on the 1 chord. Or just arpeggiating G, or arpeggiating C. Down bottom on the 5 chord, I'm going to start on 1 draw, which is the root of 5, okay, or D in this case. And then in order to get the major third, I have to bend the 2 draw a half step. That gives me the second note of the major triad of D, or the 5 chord of a blues. And then I have to bend the 3 draw 2 times. 3 draw, double bend. Okay, so it sounds like this. So here's a helpful little hint that I've noticed over the years. It may feel like intimidating to think about going from a half step bend on 2 to a 3 draw double bend. And what I've noticed is that on the diatonic harmonica, the same embouchure or tongue or mouth shape, the same position of your mouth that it takes to achieve the half step bend is also the same position of the 3 draw double bend. So really, once you get the half step bend on 2, all you have to do is move. So you don't have to think half step bend, 3 double bend. All you got to do is get that first one and then just move up to the 3. Okay, so let's review. So I'm going to do 4 times on the 1 chord, arpeggiating the major triad. So that'll be 16 beats of me and 4/4, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, again, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G major triad. Just like that. 4 times on the 1 chord. 2 times on the 4 chord. That'll be bars 5 and 6. And that will be the 1 blow, or the C major triad. All right. Back to 2 times of 1. This is a standard 12-bar blues. Again, I believe there are slides that are going to go up here if somebody doesn't after I'm done showing this, and we'll double down on it with a nice visual. If we don't have those, I do have them, and I think I know Zoom well enough to put them up.
Jason, so, I'm sorry, this is Michael. I don't have them. Who'd you send them to? Do you know?
Like, I don't know. Everybody. It's okay. I think
just share the screen. Yeah, just share your screen, and you should be able to show them there.
Perfect. We'll do that.
All right.
I'll just get through this, and then we can look at it in a minute. So back to 2 times of the 1 chord. All right. And then on bar 9, we're going to play the 5 chord arpeggio once, or for 4 beats. And then bar 10, the 4 chord once, and then followed by 2 remaining bars of 1. So this sounds complicated. It's not. You'll hear it. It's American music. You've been hearing it since you were a kid. Whether it's rock and roll or blues or whatever, you'll recognize it. So I'll run through the whole thing. So 1 chord arpeggio, 4 chord, and then 5 chord. So let's hear it. There we go. If I wanted to improvise a little bit. So now I really know what the band is doing, and now I can start to make adjustments to that. So if I just wanted to add a couple of notes. So you see where I'm going with this, right? Like, I have my main grouping of notes that I understand. And then from there, I'm just choosing to stay on some of them longer or use other notes as passing notes on the way there. And really, the beautiful thing about music is just about anything will work if you have a group of notes that you know work, right? And then anything else that you hit accidentally or on the way to just sounds natural. All right, let me see if I can send over this stuff. All right, let me see. Share screen. All right, let me try that. Oh boy. All right. Let me see. Sorry.
Pick what you want to share.
I'm trying.
Or you can send it to me.
All right. Let's see. Give me 1 second. All right. Triad arpeggios. There it is. Okay. So let's see. Share screen. Where? All right. Where? Why? Basic. All right. Let's try this. Oh, here we go. How's that? Can you guys see that?
Yeah, you got it.
All right, cool. Cool, beautiful. Look, I even got a little cat. Okay. Yeah, so with a shark fin because he's dangerous. So if I look at the one chord, right, what I have is a G major triad or a G chord. So all I'm doing is playing each one of these notes individually, and I can play them in any order again. When I look at the 4 chord, I have a C major chord. I'm holding in my hand, guys and gals, and anything else, a C harmonica. Okay, so what that means is that I can look at this as being in first position. It's in the key of C, and I'm holding a C harmonica. So when I learn how to arpeggiate the 4 chord in cross arp, I'm also learning how to arpeggiate the 1 chord in C or first position. Same goes with the 5 chord. When I learn how to arpeggiate a D major triad or the 5 chord in cross arp, I'm learning how to arpeggiate a D major chord or the 1 chord in third position. I caught a tiny bit of somebody's seminar that was accidentally playing in the background while I was trying to figure out Zoom, and they were talking about, well, you know, third position is not necessarily minor. Well, here's the proof right here. There's a D major scale in third position, right? So nothing minor about that, quite the opposite. So there's our major triad explanation. Okay, so I'm going to X this out. Oh, did it stop sharing screen, or do you still see the back of my stuff here? Let's see.
You're good. Yeah, we see you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let me open the chat and see if I can address a couple of questions. Oh, hey, Elise. Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. Okay, so somebody asked a question about the pentaharp. So that's more of like a scale question. I think the pentaharp is an excellent tool for learning scale exercises. I think it'll be fun for rack-mounted players too. Whether or not it's a game changer, I don't know. I think learning music is the game changer. That's what I think. Anytime you tune a harmonica, it helps you do one thing better, but it also creates another problem for doing something else, right? So, you know, it's hard enough as it is, remembering it the way it is. All right, cool. So does anybody have any questions about that? Steve-O, with a scale question. Come on, guys. How about an arpeggiating chords question? What is a favorite go-to scale? Well, it depends on the music, Steve. If it's in a major key, it's going to be one of the major scales. What does it sound? R&B? Does it sound jazz? Does it sound purely major? Gosh, I don't have a go-to scale. I don't. I wish there was one that would. I guess the chromatic scale, right? I guess that's my go-to scale, or every alteration of the major scale imaginable. In other words, as many as I can figure out. Sorry, I wish I could answer that more directly, but there's no such thing. I guess it would kind of be asking you, like, what's your go-to screwdriver, right? Right? Like, oh, it depends on the bolt, right? Or the screw. Okay, cool. And no questions about that? Everybody understand that perfectly? All right, arpeggiation question inspired by Bose's seminar from yesterday. How do you approach minor 2 through 5s, especially when there's a half diminished?
So like minor 2 5s, as in 2 to 5 to 1.
At least I don't know. I don't. I could start with for everybody else, right, who's wondering about what how to arpeggiate minor triads. You would have to flat the third of every major chord. But no, I really don't. I really haven't worked too much in diminished scales, other than the raised fourth diminished that we hear in jazz a lot. So, but I'm not like the best diminished scale person. Maybe Dennis Grinling could help you better with that, or Howard probably the best, or Konstantin Reinfeld would be do good. In a 12-bar progression, can you get away with mostly focusing on 1 and 4 chords? Absolutely. And you can just choose the major third of each of these notes, or the fifth of these notes, or the root, right? So when we're playing a 12-bar blues, right? Let me share the screen again, and bring. Oh shucks, I 86'd my thing here. Hold on. Let's bring this up again. Excuse me. Yeah, Lisa asked like the Juilliard question.
I'll keep in mind that Dennis would be a good resource for that.
What's that?
I'll keep in mind that Dennis would be a good resource.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Dennis will be a good resource. I think he does a lot of diminished stuff. Okay. So here we go. So if I look at each one of these notes, right, you guys seeing this, everybody?
We're seeing a desktop. We're seeing your desktop.
You can't see the Jason Ricci lesson?
No, you must have to share a different. You shared your desktop rather than the.
Oh, okay, hold on. Sorry.
There you go.
All right.
You gotta share the individual item.
All right, let's try it again. Sorry about this. Okay, here we go. How's that?
There you go.
Right, so when I'm improvising, I don't have to pick all these notes. And I could just pick one. I could play the major third of each of these. And see, so by understanding this, I'm learning what are the most important notes in each chord. I'm also learning what are the other notes that work, okay? So like I could play just the major third of each one of these and you'd still hear a blues. So the root note, is 2 draw here on the 1 chord, 1 blow on the 4 chord, and 1 draw. But I could just play the major third of each one of these. It still sounds like a blues. Just a 5. Back to the root. So I can just choose any one of those notes, okay, and it's going to be great. Okay, so it teaches you quite a bit. So if you're in a situation where you feel like you've played all the licks that you already know all night, you can just rely on this and really be in the moment. And you can just use this information to create music. So I'm just making it up as I go along, right? Like I had no licks in mind at all. I was just thinking, okay, stick to the major triads of each chord, maybe throw in a couple of passing notes if I'm really feeling it. But I could just stick to these 3 notes on each chord and I'd still be golden. That's how great it is. It's how powerful the information is. Someone is typing like a madman. All right. Okay. Thanks. Screenshot worked. Okay, take a screenshot. Can we get a copy of that? Okay, everybody got a, oh, beautiful. Wow, you guys are amazing. All right. Okay, beautiful. So let me pull up the next one, okay? So when we're dealing with when we're dealing with 7th chords, okay, that's blues. Blues is always 7th chords. If you go to the dictionary and you look up the dictionary definition of 7th chords, what you're gonna, or the dictionary definition of blues, what you're gonna see is it's gonna say something about 7th chords. In Webster's, it's gonna say blues is generally a 12-bar musical formula that relies heavily upon 7th chords, right? So we see 7th chords a lot in blues music. So let's take a look at some. I think I got this down good now, all right? Look at that, right? Did I do it? You guys see it?
Yep, it's there. You nailed it.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm kicking butt. All right, so check it out, guys. Look at the first 3 notes. We already know how to play almost a whole 7th chord. We have 2 draw, 3 draw, and 4 draw, right? That's what we just learned, the major triad. So what's a 7th chord? Well, it's the flatted 7th of a major scale added on to what we already learned today. So it's just like Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman. When we hear that at the beginning of that gorgeous Roy Orbison song, what we're hearing is a dominant 7th chord, or a 7th chord, or a flatted 7th chord. Those are all fancy names for 2 draw, 3 draw, 4 draw, and 5 draw in 2nd position. I'm throwing in the 6th blow, which is an octave of 2. But I don't have to. Now, the really nice thing that I like about sharing this with you guys here today is that with a 7th chord, we have 4 notes that are in the chord. We have the root, the major 3rd, or 3 draw, the 4 draw, or the perfect 5th, and then the introduction of the flatted 7. I'm tongue blocking that, but I don't have to. So what I like about that is there's 4 notes, which means that rhythmically I can practice in quarter notes and it's easier to keep time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so that's cool because I can count bars better. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. So that's the 1 chord. The 4 chord is the same thing that we just learned earlier, except I'm going to add a 7. So in this case, I'm going to use 2 draw rather than 3 blow, so I can make my way a little easier to the 3 draw half step bend and introduce the 7 of 4, or the 3 draw half step bend. So I can play that Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman in C. There it is. So anyway, right? So like already, like I'll give you guys a little sneak preview. When we listen to like the blues guys, like Little Walter or anybody, we're hearing a lot of this. So you can hear it, right? Like I'm just making it up. I'm not playing Little Walter or Big Walter. I'm just arpeggiating these chords almost sequentially and almost in quarter notes. So let's just quickly get to back to the 5 chord, okay? Because bars 7 and 8 are the 1 chord again, right? The red. So when I come to bar 5, I got to do that funky bending thing on 2 and 3. But the 7 of 5, or the blue note, right? The 7s are dominant 7s or flatted 7s are blue notes. There's only 3 blue notes, and this is a big one. So the 4 blow becomes the flatted 7 of this chord, okay? So you don't have to know what that means. Just try it and you'll know what it feels like. So I'm going to arpeggiate this entire thing in quarter notes sequentially, just the way it's written, which is a wonderful exercise to do, especially for me, right? Like my, what I want to do is play it like however I want, but it's very important that I discipline myself at least every once in a while to play these things the way they're written out in nice quarter notes. So that's the exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. So with just a little bit, if I do that enough and I discipline myself to play that in just quarter notes for like 5 minutes, right? Like 10 minutes, it's not long before I start to feel a little mischievous. The older I get, the more I find myself feeling like Winslow, right? Like music is mischievous sometimes. Winslow's a very mischievous person, if you don't know. He doesn't seem like it, but he's very mischievous, especially when it comes to music. So So, so I might want to take it out of the boring quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and play it still in sequence, but maybe swing it a little. So I'm just making this up. I'm just changing it instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4. More like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Right? I'm just hanging on one note a little longer, and the result is I'm making music on the spot that makes sense, that's rhythmically supportive. So if you're looking for something to play respectfully behind another musician, right? This is the kind of stuff you do. This is what bass players do all day long, right? Jason, how that's amazing, but you played all these other notes. No, I didn't. I played octaves of the same notes. Ah, there I played another note, sorry. So 7 draw is an octave of 3 draw, 1 draw is an octave of 4 draw. All those notes are in the chord. I can improvise with all of those notes without ever not being a person that's arpeggiating. All of that's one chord arpeggio stuff, right? So you have extra octavial possibilities, okay? 4 chord. In the second octave, you would need that overblow on 6.
Jason, I posted that graphic on the chat in my Google Drive, so people.
You are amazing. Thank you. All right. Okay, I stopped sharing. I'm back. Hey. All right. Boy, the time is flying. I can't believe how fast it's gone. All right. Okay. So somebody said, hey, Jason, could you add tongue blocking to this progression? Absolutely. What a wonderful time to tongue block right now, right? Like, because why? Why would it be a wonderful time to tongue block? Because the major triad is behind the 1 chord and the 4 chord. So every time I tongue block and I delay that slap, I'm getting a portion of that wonderfully supportive group of 3 notes that is the major triad or a G chord. So when I go, what you're hearing is a little bit of a major triad. This is why, like, people like Joe Falisco and Dennis Grinling and some of the hardcore tongue blockers. This is why they're so crazy about tongue blocking, because you're sounding like a band. And the Irish guys like Jimmy Conway and stuff, when they play in first position, they're getting that. Right? You're getting that whole kind of rhythmic sound. And, you know, if you play it without tongue blocking, it's cool. Like if you're playing like some jazz licks. But if you want to play it rhythmically, you know, it doesn't. It certainly helps to. It's just a plop, plop, plop. Because it imitates a shuffled drum beat in this case. Pa-ta, 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 pa-ta. So if you're just playing it without tongue blocking, all you have is. With it's like pa-ta, 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 pa-ta. Right? Okay, so check it out. Okay, so that's just seventh chords, right? One of the cool things that happens in blues music a lot of times is a lot of blues guitar players and bass players choose to omit the major third from each chord. So they take out the second note of what we just learned. So on the one chord, they take out the 3 draw and they play 1, 5, 7, maybe the octave. So in other words, 2 draw, 4 draw, 5 draw. And what you get is what we commonly in slang in the music world, you know, the working music world, refer to as a box rhythm. So it's 1, 5, and 7. By eliminating the major third of each chord, you're creating an ambiguity over whether or not the chord is major or minor, which is delightful when we're dealing with blues, because Adam Gusso put it brilliantly when he very academically but accurately stated blues is the tension between major and minor. So that's an accurate statement in the world that I live in. And if I play just the root, the 5th, and the 7, I get something that sounds like this. Now, again, guys, that's not something I've ever played before. That. Like, okay, yeah, the formula is the same. I'm playing these 3 notes on each chord, but I don't know which note I'm going to play. I'm just playfully and randomly jumping to different notes that sound cool because, first of all, I know they're going to work. I know they're going to work, and that's good. But I can just choose any of them. Could just go 1, I'll just do the root in the 7th of each chord, completely randomly. 1, no idea what I'm gonna do. 1, 2, other than 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see the power of arpeggiating. Yes, scales are wonderful. I mean, it's great to be able to play scales and stuff, but but you can arpeggiate a completely different way. If you get bored with playing scales, or you feel like you played all your scale licks that night, you can just start to think like a bass player or a piano player, and you can just start playing notes in these chords. And this is how jazz players think. And also, you can apply this, to use a Scientology term, you can apply this technology to scales. Like, you can look at your scales like, okay, Steve O asked an interesting question earlier. He said, Jay, what's your favorite scale? And I said, oh, bro, I can't answer that, right? Well, like, the way I answer that is, what are the notes in the chord? So what are the notes in the chord means I got to know what the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7 are. Or what the 1, the flatted 3, or the minor 3 and the 7 are, right? Or the 6, or whatever it is. So if it's a 6 chord, I'm going to use a major scale with a 6, a scale that has a 6 in it, and a major third. If it's a minor chord, if it's a minor 6 chord, I'm going to use a Dorian mode, because that has a minor third in it and a 6 in it. So that's how. So if you learn how to arpeggiate chords, you're going to start applying harmony, okay, to your scale use. So this is brilliant. These two things complement each other. There's a lot of people out there that say, oh, well, I don't want to learn how to play scales because I don't want to play like a robot or mechanically up and down. Well, I mean, nobody's making you play like a robot. You can look at the notes in the scale and realize what notes in that scale relate to the chord, and you can play them any way you want them. You could play them really, really randomly. You could paint like Picasso if you wanted to with these notes. Like that last box thing I was doing kind of had a little Junior Wells vibe to it, right? Like, it's just, you can play as little or as you don't have to hit it on time. You can hit it late. You can hit it anywhere. But, I'm my own blues jam. Anytime I want to, I just step out on the porch and start arpeggiating 7th chords, and I'm walking in the sunlight of the spirit. All right, any questions? You guys can talk too.
All right, do we have any questions?
I want to learn a little more about how you apply those tongue blocks. So does it always does the slap always anticipate the 1, or are there other ways to kind of be mischievous with where that chord goes?
That's great, and I appreciate you using the mischievous word because it's fun. And when we're learning things like theory that are boring and tough and mind bending, it's fun to think about them. It's fun to think of breaking these rules, right? So we do them for a little while, and we don't do them for very long. Sure, you can absolutely do all kinds of fun, offbeat tongue blocking things, and I love it. Like, one of my favorite cats is Taj Mahal, and he'll play stuff like. Right, so it's just this bam, ba 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 ba, ba ba ba. So I'll do that a lot, like even on a box rhythm. So there's a million different tempo things. You can go as Thelonious Monk on it as you want, right? Or as Taj, right? Yeah.
So I got a question for you. I meant to ask you back when we used to do lessons. I hear this percussive thing you do when you're exhaling. What are you doing? What are you doing? You got to.
What a wonderful question that is. Thanks, Steve. So basically, in my head, I'm thinking the most obvious rhythmic thing, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So when you hear me exhaling, what into the instrument, right? What what you're hearing is me counting, actually. So I'm making a noise to mark the spot where I would like to play, but I'm forcing myself not to. So by articulating that, it's a inadvertent or unintentional thing that I've learned to do over the years, as to not play the most obvious beat, right? The most Ned Flanders. So if I'm arpeggiate 1, 2, 3, 4, and I want to arpeggiate 1, 2, 3, 1, pa, 2, 3, 1, pa, 2, 3. Right, so I might even do 2, right? Like when we listen to Junior Wells, right? Like, you know, I keep going back to Junior because I thought of Junior because I thought of Picasso. I thought of Picasso. And Magic Dick calls Junior Wells the Picasso of the blues, which I think is very accurate, because Picasso would paint a head and then he'd paint the feet, and then you would fill in the body with your mind. He didn't have to put 1, 2, 3, 4 there, right? But, you know, I'm sure when he was painting the head and painting the feet, he kind of thought about where the body would be, right? He might have thought about it. And that's how he came up with where to put the feet. So that pa sound you hear is me thinking about painting the body, right? It's putting that in. It shows you that I'm not very cool, actually. Like, I'm not so cool that I know where time is. I don't have perfect time, right? Nobody does, but I don't. Right, so that's what that is, and it's a nice little percussive thing that you can put in. Right, so it's also a way to get rid of air too, right? So if I'm inhaling a lot and I find a beat that I'm not using melodically, I can exhale and get rid of that air, so that I can fill up my lungs with more draw stuff. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Jason.
It sounds pretty cool in a microphone too.
Yeah, there's that performance I did at SPAH, right? The one about the altitude, right? There's pow. I mean, that the sound guy was really nice to me, allowing me to do that.
Yeah, so Jason, thank you so much, man. We've got about 2 more minutes here. Is there another quick question from the audience? Or I'm going to suggest we do have a lounge this year. It's BYO or BYO smoke. But there is a thing called the Charlotte Lounge in your breakout rooms, and you're welcome to go down there and keep chatting as long as you want. Is there a last question to go in this room before we say thank you to Jason? Well, then I'm just going to say thank you so much, Jason Ricci, for doing this.
Thank you, Jason.
We're looking
love
forward
you guys. I love you. I love you.
Group hug.
See you in the lounge.
See you.
I'll be there.
Come back to Santa Fe.
Thanks, Jason.
Santa Fe.
We're gonna roll in just a minute here. Speaking of amazing players, a 1994 video of Charlie Musselwhite at SPAH. For the next 10 minutes in this room for people who don't want to go and chat with Jason in the lounge, and then we'll be joined by Michael Handler back here in about 15 minutes. Jason,
Can
my
I
friend,
say one thing, Michael?
you got 1 minute.
Jason, I would love to hear you do imitations of what you did just now with us, like take Sonny Boy Williamson, Kim Wilson, Little Walter, and demonstrate how those professionals used what you just taught us.
Sure. Let's do it in the lounge.
Do it in the lounge.
Meet me in the Charlotte Lounge. I'll be there.
Cool. Thank you,
Okay.
Jason. Wonderful job, my friend. And we'll look forward to your performance. I was looking to see where that is tomorrow night, I think. Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
I know. I have a sneak preview. I know. And the backdrop is fabulous. I'm
gonna play all that diminished stuff that I couldn't explain. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
All right. Farewell, my friend. We'll see you later on.
Blues overtook me when I was a little child. You know, blues overtook me when I was a little child. You know, fast women and whiskey made this poor boy wild. When I was a kid, early on my own, I took the highway to be my home. Blues overtook me when I was a little child. You know, fast women and whiskey made this poor boy wild. I ain't complaining. drunken blues overtook me when I was a little child. You know, fast women and whiskey made this poor boy wild. You might run, trying to escape, but the blues will overtake you one rainy day. Blues overtook me when I was a little child. You know, fast women and whiskey made this poor boy wild. I was just trying to have fun. Summer to cool me, winter to keep me warm.
All right, Charlie Musselwhite. Back in the day, 27 years ago, that was Charlie, and we were proud to have him. I guess it was 2 years ago in Tulsa, and did a fabulous performance. And I had the honor of sitting on stage with him and doing a Q&A session for a while too. So, really good time. Next up is Michael Handler. Did Michael make it back? I think he must still be in the green room, putting his feet up. Anyway, we'll rest here for a couple of minutes. You know, stretch your ears. I don't know about you, but headphone ear is an interesting challenge. Hi, Mike Schmidt. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. We'll see you in person in a couple of months, right? Good deal. Well, you know, you could talk to me.
I've got something for you. I hope that you'll like.
You're really quiet.
Okay. Let me see if I can turn the
There
volume
you
up.
go. That's good. You're better now. There you go.
Okay. So, you know, the interviews you do in the SPAH magazine, right?
Yeah.
Well, I just did an interview with Gerald Welch,
Oh, nice.
who may be on here listening. And I think it's really good. He's got an amazing story to tell as far as his harmonica journey.
Yeah.
So my wife's working on doing a little editing on it. And should I send it to you?
You can send it to me or Doug May if you know where Doug hangs out. I'll get it to him, and I'll probably I'll do a couple of really good photos of Gerald.
Yeah, you say you'll need them, or you have?
Yes,